For most of us, vision is the dominant sense. We rely on seeing the world around us. So how would it be if life looked like this? Or perhaps like this? It would be impossible to read as we know it. But for many people who are blind or partially sighted, this is the way the world looks. So they have to learn to use other senses. They rely on hearing, and instead of reading through their eyes, they read through their fingers. Now, you and I, learning about insects, would look at a diagram like that and perceive an ant and a bee. But if you couldn't see very well, it would help to have a three-dimensional diagram, and you could feel your way around those insects and learn what they were like. And if you're studying geography, of course, a raised map of Africa would help you perceive the outlines of that country, and instead of the words, you'd find a whole lot of these raised dots, because that is written in the language of the blind. It's Braille. Named after its inventor, Lui Brail, a Frenchman who more than 150 years ago developed this very elegant system of raising dots to communicate letters and words. In fact, he based it on some pre-existing languages for the blind, but his is the one that's persisted. And it was based really on the layout of dots that you'd find on the side of a die, 6 of them, and different combinations would give you different letters. How does it work? Well, the initials of curiosity show are CS. And in Braille, they'd look like this. There's C and there's S. Of course, you wouldn't look at them. You'd feel them with your fingers because they are little raised dots. Well, originally, that was written by pressing into the paper with a sharp point. It was very laborious. You had to make little pits on this side so that when you turned the paper over, they could be felt as raised dots. So you had to write back to front. Very awkward indeed. And nowadays, of course, a godsend to people who are writing Braille is this thing. It's the Braille typewriter. Of course, it's only got 6 keys because you only have 6 dots to worry about. But as you press them in different combinations, they'll bring up the letters on a piece of paper. They're punched in there by a little punch. Have a look as I press the keys and you can see it working. Here goes. Each time I stamp, I produce a letter in Braille, and of course I can space it the way I can with an ordinary typewriter. When I get to the end of the row, it'll ring a bell and I can return the carriage to write the next line. So that is the Braille typewriter, and that produces letters that you can read at your fingertips. This is an ordinary book. In fact, sometimes I get so mad I can't read Braille, but people who can get the same story that I would get reading English. They just get it through touch.
Curiosity.